Hello friends, welcome to S. Kumar IAS. So we were studying Karl Marx, and in Karl Marx we studied different concepts, background of Karl Marx, the prevailing situations, the concept of historical materialism, the concept of dialectic materialism. We studied how Marx is criticizing, the state, how Marx is giving the concept of basic structure, and how Marx is structuralist. He focuses on fundamentals and basic structure. Then we studied the criticisms of Marx, and we studied his concept of praxis, how he says that philosophers interpreted the world, but what matters is to bring the change and to to criticize the state, and to make the counter argument. He criticizes basically the theory of Hegel, because Hegel was the most prominent philosopher of that time, and his theory was most important in defending the state. He says that state is march of God. So now today we are going to study further, and we are going to see the Marx stages of history. From there we'll start. So without much delay आज की कथा को शुरू कर दें. So just before that we'll study the concept of class and class struggle. So no need to explain much, because Marx says that there are two classes, haves and have-nots, and both the classes, they are historically existing and they have antagonistic relation between both of them. So already you understand in the concept, through the concept of dialectics, through the concept of historical materialism. So he says that there are basically fundamental two classes, and the first one is owners and non-owners, haves and have-nots, exploiters and exploited. And he says that history of all the hitherto existing society has been a history of class struggle. So he interprets history only in the terms of classes, and why classes? Because he says economic structure is the basic structure, all other are the superstructure, and superstructure is resting on the basic structure, and basic structure is economic structure. And based on economics there are two classes, one is haves and one is have-nots. So this is basically concept of Karl Marx, and that's why he will always keep this thing into mind. And classes are due to economic differences, and exploiters exploited concept come due to that. And he says that for bringing scientific rigor and to present his theory as scientific, as he says his theory as scientific socialism, and he says that concept of historical materialism and concept of dialectics and struggle for existence. So struggle for existence, this concept comes from biology, and you must be knowing that the most fittest species that prevails, and dialectics and historical materialism is already explained. Still, if you do not understand any concept, please do ask in the comment box, and I will personally answer them. So then comes Marx stages of history. Why we study Marx stages of history? Because to understand his concept of communism and socialism, we should understand his interpretation of the stages of history. So that is very much important and pertinent. So first he divides the stages of history in three stages: first, second and third stage. And before explaining these three stages, just to mention, he mentions that in prehistoric times there was primitive communism, and in primitive communism it was classless and stateless society. And Marx gave this concept just to show that once man was able to live without private property. Basically, he wants to end the concept of private property. And then Marx says that Marx was not actually against the property, but private property. He says that personal property is a need. For example, even if the state of communism, they must be living in a hut. So that's not bad. But to purchase more and more land, to have, to possess whatever, more than required, whatever is more than need, that is bad, and that is private property. He makes difference between personal and private property. And he explains this thing just to make the basis of his theory of communism, that once it was possible to live without private property. So it's basically, Marx is also no exception. Every thinker gives his theory to prove his point. The meaning of theory is to prove his point. So he will interpret everything as per his own convenience. And that's what Marx is doing. Everybody is interpreting their theories and the circumstances as per their intention. So now comes the concept of 3 stages. He says that, Karl Marx says that the first stage was the stage of slave society. There were slaves and masters, classes. So class struggle will always be there. Marx says that, Marx is basically, just one more thing to explain. Marx is actually basically materialist. How we can see that? Because he do not compromise on need. He do not say that need should not be fulfilled. He does not say, like Gandhi, that austerity should be there. Gandhi's concept were Gandhi brings lot of spiritual aspects in the his theories and his thoughts. But for basic materialistic needs, Marx does not compromise. How he does not compromise? Because he is allowing personal property. Marx says that man is materialist, matter is real. So if matter is real means he is this worldly. Marx is this worldly person. He says that man need all the facilities to be happy. So Marx does not say that a man should live life of a mendicant. No. According to Marx, no, there should not be mendicant. You enjoy, materialistic, enjoy the life, but not at the cost of others. Others should not become the cost for that. That's what Karl Marx says. And Gandhi was, spiritualist kind of person. He minimization of need he focuses, and he gives the concept of Swaraj also to rule over self. Swaraj means rule over self. So to conquer the basic needs, and we all know Gandhi's himself kind of experiment with truth. He mentions a lot of things. So that difference should be understood. Marx is not focusing on austerity. Marx does not bring the spiritual aspect in the point. Gandhi focuses on minimization of need based on spiritual aspects, that need should be minimized. Now, the first stage is slave society, because initially there was primitive communism, and then the people started to have their own property. And once the private property comes, primitive society, first the concept of family comes, and as soon as the concept of family comes, the concept of private property comes, and the concept of hereditary passing on of the property. And that's why Marxists are also against the concept of family. They say that family is the unit of production. Family needs production, and as soon as production comes, there comes 2 classes. That one class will produce or worker class, and another will enjoy the fruit of labor, the capitalist or have class. So that's what the concept of haves and have-nots are. In first stage there was slave society, classes, so class struggle was always there. Second stage he says is that feudal society, lords and serfs. So here also class struggle will be there. I'm not going into the detail because those sort of questions are not asked. And still, if you want to ask something more, for some particular point, please do ask in the comment box. Then third is capitalism versus workers. That was the prevailing society during Marx. He says that these are the three stages. First, slaves and masters, then feudals. So in feudals, serf and lord, and the third one is capitalist versus workers. So he says that always there are classes and always there is struggle between these classes, struggle. And this is the concept of class struggle. Okay, and he just says that dialectic materialism, how he explains in detail, no need to cram it, nobody will ask this particular thing, but still to understand. So in dialectic materialism there are three things: unity of opposites. So these are given by Hegel in different context, but Marx interprets it in his own context just to counter Hegel. So first unity of opposite, then negation of negation, and then quality changes into quantity. Okay, how? Unity of opposite means there will always be two opposite things together. So what are the opposite things? Two classes. Two classes are always existing, so they are opposite but still they are existing, so that's why unity of opposite. Then negation of negation, that means old becomes fatter on new, and new cannot grow further. And what happens is that if there is negativity, if there is negative thing, that will always be overcome by the positive. So negative will always be overcome by positive. That's what Karl Marx says. So he says to workers that you are on the right side of the history. Right side of history, that means you are already on the positive side of history. So it is bound that the negative effects of capitalism are bound to collapse and you will win. So unity of opposites, then negation of negation, whatever negative aspects are there, they are always get neglected with the time, and then quantity changes into quality. That slowly, change does not happen overnight. Slowly the quantity changes, and that finally comes into quality. That the revolution happens, and it is a kind of spontaneous revolution. And he says that without the destruction of the old, the new is not created. So history just shows itself. According to Karl Marx, history just shows that the progressive classes always play main role for revolution, and the exploiters resist the change, but the progressive classes wins and negation gets negated. So that's what Karl Marx says. And now let us come to his concept of socialism. Karl Marx basically gives his theory in which he says, first the socialism or scientific, he in fact says that scientific socialism. Scientific socialism. So what is this scientific socialism? It is just a kind of middle stage for final communism, which is the communism is ideal goal of Karl Marx, which is similar to Ram Rajya of Gandhi. So how he explains this, let us see. So he says that socialism, it's actually different from socialism in general, because in general Indian state is also socialist. We say that Indian state is a socialist state. In fact, our preamble says that we are a socialist democratic republic, right? But that socialism is not the socialism of Karl Marx. Karl Marx says different kind of socialism. To remove your confusion, just to put the things into one line, Karl Marx socialism basically means the dictatorship of the proletariat, and proletariat means the working class. So the dictatorship of the proletariat. This is Karl Marx's view of socialism. There are two features, that state is captured by the workers, and there are two classes, workers and capitalists. So the workers now will become dictators. They will, occupy the state by bloody revolution. By bloody revolution. Karl Marx says that there is no birth without blood. If some new life has to take birth, there must be bloodshed. That's what he says. And he says that each will work according to his ability and each will get according to his work. This is the ideal socialist state. There will be fair distribution. And next stage Karl Marx gives is the communism. Communism is the stage after socialism. And communism means peaceful transformation from socialism to communism. From capitalism to socialism, there is bloody revolution, bloody transfer, because he says that capitalists will never agree to transfer the power, so there will be bloody. But from socialism to communism, there will be peaceful. Why peaceful? Because in socialism, the workers are the heads. It's dictatorship of proletariat. So if workers are there, they are rational people. They are, we can say, very philanthropic people, and that's why it will peacefully result into stateless. Socialism is not stateless. Socialism is having state with workers at the helm. Okay, in socialism, the state is not demolished, but in communism, the state is abolished. There is no state in communism. But in socialism, there is a state, but that state is controlled by whom? Workers. So I hope these points are quite clear to you. Still, if you have doubt, please do ask in the comment box. I will definitely answer them personally. What sort of doubt you have in Western political thought, you can ask. And if you have not watched the previous videos, please do watch them, because every video is connected. If you do not know about the previous videos, this will make no sense for you. So communism is the state after socialism. Socialism is just a temporary or transitionary state, and after the socialism there is peaceful transformation from socialism to communism, and state will declare private property as abolished. Whatever private property is, that is abolished, and classes are abolished, and the class struggle is abolished. So the state withers away. There is no state, because there is no function of state. Man is a creative being, and he want to live creatively, and he work as per his wishes and get paid or get rewarded as per his work. It is sort of equal to the concept of Ram Raj of Gandhi. And then he says that in state of communism there will be SHGs and voluntary associations that will perform the state's task. And communism is basic kind of anarchism, which means a stateless society and the state of a perfect equality, state of perfect equality and perfect freedom. So actually the communism suggested by Karl Marx never came. It is kind of completely utopian idea. Karl Marx ignores the basic human psychology. He ignores basic human psychology. So Lenin was the first person to practically implement the Marxist idea, and he is also called the Peter who denied his master. Why he said so? He is actually the greatest disciple of Marx, but he could not see his God failing. God means Marx. He could not see. So that's why because why he could not see the failing and he has to change the idea. He is called Peter because he kind of betrays and he brings the new idea. So during Lenin's time, there was question mark on Marx's wisdom, because Marx predicted end of capitalism very soon, that it will die its own death, it will collapse, but it was not happening. The communist revolution, not even a remote possibility. Nobody, nowhere it was happening. Even where the advanced countries capitalism was advancing, it was not. So that's why Marx's idea of revolution was failing. So Marx says that revolution only when capitalism is fully developed, because only then all the features will emerge on the surface and automatically capitalism will become more exploitative with the time and it will end itself. That's why he says that the revolution will be leaderless revolution and it will be a spontaneous revolution of the masses. There is no point of revolution unless masses are fully aware of the exploitation, he says. So there is no need of any middle class, there is no need of any intellectual. Marx was not supporter of any intellectual. Karl Marx says that there is no need of any intellectual, no required at all. It will be spontaneous. It will be spontaneous revolution because the masses are so exploitative, they know that they are getting exploited. And that's why Karl Marx is against the idea of Communist Party and he's against the idea of any intellectual. Revolution takes place when the people develop revolutionary consciousness and when exploitation reaches its peak. That's why Marx described two levels of consciousness: class in itself to class for itself. Class in itself to class for itself. Class in itself belongs to a particular class which is different from other class, and class for itself, it belongs to different class, and relation between the classes is antagonistic. Then that class takes up arms and the quantity changes into quality. Quantity becomes so much that the complete structure or the quality changes. So class in itself is the class which has basically sort of not developed full consciousness till now, and there is not possibility of revolution in that. The relation is antagonistic, but still that consciousness is not there. So that is class in itself. But when this class develops full consciousness and revolution happens, it becomes class for itself. Class in itself to class for itself. And then they take the arms and quantity changes into quality. Okay. So what changes Lenin makes to make Marx theory succeed? So, he basically says that Lenin basically tries that the Marx ideas are not working, the workers are not doing revolution on their own. There is that stage is not coming when the capitalism dies its own death. That is not happening. That is not happening, Lenin says. So then Lenin tried to cut short the phases of history and manufacture the revolution. And how he tried to manufacture? He gives the pamphlet, what is to be done. What is to be done? He says on pamphlet. So he says that worker won't be able to develop consciousness on their own. So then what should be done? So consciousness should be injected from outside through Communist Party. This is the change. That's why he said Peter who denied master. Marx was against the party Lenin introduces Communist Party. He says this party will be vanguard of revolution, and it will consist of middle class intellectuals. Again, it is against Karl Marx. Marx is against this idea, and Marx neither wanted party nor middle class nor intellectuals. These three things Marx didn't want or didn't mention in his theory. That's why he's called Peter who denied his master. So Lenin sort of brings this concept, and Lenin tried to implement Marxism first time. So Marx analysis of capitalism, that's quite simple. I mean, he says that capitalism is full of contradictions and its end is inevitable because it is having contradiction between man and society, because it alienates man from the society, then labor and capital, because the labor class itself is not seeing how its labor is getting utilized, so it alienates that man and his work, because he has to produce whatever bourgeois says, so that's why he is alienated from his work, from his nature and everything. So he says that, Marx says, the capitalism will die its own death and it will get negated due to negation of negation. Capitalists are on the negative side of the history, and Marx said to workers to tell that they are on the right side of the history. And he says basically that for profit they need to keep cost of production down. Capitalists need to keep cost of production down. That's why they have to keep wages down, and the only sufficient for survival money is given to the workers so that they will come tomorrow. If they have enough money, they will not come tomorrow. So if they do not come, then they cannot survive. So actually basically if they do not come back, there is no motivation for work also. So they are compelled to work, and whatever Marx says that it is compulsion and not required. Why? Because man by nature is creative. Man should not be compelled to work. Karl Marx says man should not be compelled. Why? Because man is creative by nature. You need not to force him. And creation itself is the source of happiness. He says that a man, he wants happiness ultimately. But he says that by creation and by his own nature, living in his own nature, he becomes happy. And capitalism kills that creativity. That's why man gets reduced to cog in the wheel, and the capitalism degrades the human being. It undermines the human dignity, and that's why freedom in capitalism, actually he says that capitalism is leading only for alienation, and freedom is required of the worker class. Then impact of machine, he says that one if one brings machine, then another forced to bring because of competitiveness, and due to this the jobs are lost. And he says that capitalism is based on cutthroat competition. That's why only few can sustain. Smaller capitalists also lose enterprises and become worker, and middle class starts disappearing due to them. You can use the example of here in telecom industry, just on the lighter note, not to connect here, Airtel and Jio, how they engulfed every, nothing is existing, only two are competing. So it's not to mention here, just on the lighter note I mentioned that. So just to make you understand that how bigger players just swallows the smaller, so that you can connect. And then there is polarization of society into the two classes, because there is no middle class at all. It will disappear with the time, and there will be extremely poor or extremely prosperous. Inequality will rise. So this can be mentioned, inequality, that in present context also, due to Oxfam report, the inequality on rise in world in general and in India in particular. Those data can be used. And then he says that advance of capitalism, with advance of capitalism, exploitation consciousness will increase, and the class in itself will change class for itself. And there will be lot of goods, but there will be no buyers, and people will lose their purchasing power. And that's where class in itself becomes class for itself, and the power of due to power of masses, the revolution becomes inevitable. And then he uses the concept of surplus value of Ricardo also, profit, that it says that the surplus value or profit is generated by the labor, but the profit is acquired by the bourgeois class, capitalist. Hence, workers do more labor, and I will explain it like that. Workers will work hard, will increase work hard. Okay. If they work hard, there will be more profit. But who is getting that profit? The profit is getting by capitalist. So more profit to capitalist will increase whose bargaining power? Increase bargaining power of capitalist. So Marx argues that workers are actually working against their interest, because the fruit is enjoyed by capitalists. The workers, they work hard, they generate more profit, and the more profit increases the bargaining power of capitalist class, because they are now controlling more money. So Marx says workers are working against their interest themselves. They are digging their own grave. That's what the concept of surplus value is. And due to this bargaining power, there is more power to the capitalist. So that was the concept of surplus value. So I hope that this Ricardo's influence, this is also surplus value is also quite a good concept. So till this point, I hope that all these concepts, all these things are very clear to you. Still, if you have any doubt, please do ask in the comment box. I will personally answer them for sure. And in next class, we'll study the ideas of young Marx, which is also the basis of neo-Marxism, and different concept after Marx like Gramsci and all. We'll study step by step. So I hope that you are enjoying the lectures. If you find them useful, please do like, please subscribe the channel and spread them like wildfire. Everybody cannot afford coaching by coming to Delhi or through other costly means. So let's make available the quality resources to one and all. And thank you so much for coming to S. Kumar IS. Till next class, stay connected and work hard.